Hi everyone, this is Rosie and welcome to my studio where we can explore creativity together. Today I'd like to share with you this little box that I created using Cricut Design Space. It can be used as a small gift box or a treat box. It's fabric covered and it has a little interlocking heart at the top which is used for the closure of the box. And the box itself is approximately 3 inches square. I did make this box on my Cricut Maker, and I'd like to walk you through the steps on how you can create the same box. So let's get started. So in order to create the box, you need to hop over to Design Space and log in. And then right up here on the toolbar, we want to paste in the URL. So we're going to go to Edit, Paste, and there you have the URL for the box, and you will find the URL down in the YouTube description below. And then you just hit return. I am working on a MacBook Pro, so after you hit return you'll see the image of the project there, the box, and if you go over here where it says images and fonts used in this project and you click on that down arrow, you will see all the shapes that I used to create the box. So from here we're going to hit make it. All those images that you saw there are Design Space images. Now it's going to load this up and it's going to give you a mat that's 12 by 24, and if you look here the project appears to be longer than 14 inches. So I don't have paper that's 14 inches long, but that's okay, because if we go up here in this corner you'll see a circular arrow. If you click on that arrow you can turn the project approximately 90 degrees. And then if we move it up, you'll see that it's well within the range of a 12 by 12 mat. Now I don't need to print this out on or cut this out on a 24-inch mat, so I want to change that also. I'm going to go up here in this corner, and where the 3 dots are, I'm going to click on that little blue circle, and I have 2 choices. I can move this image to another mat or I can hide the selected. But what I want to do is move it to another mat, so I'm going to choose that. And then I click on New Mat, and you can click any color mat you want, it doesn't matter. And I confirm that that's what I want to do. And here we are. Our image, the image that we want to cut, is now on a 12 by 12 mat. So we're all good to go now, and I'm going to click Continue. Okay, now I am using a Cricut Maker, and what I need to do is select the material that I'm going to use, and the first cut that I'm going to make is going to be on cardstock. So I'm going to choose medium cardstock right here, and then it tells me that I need to have my scoring tool in there. I need to have a fine point blade, and after I've loaded up my mat with the cardstock I can press the load unload button. Now I've loaded up my mat with a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm using the blue mat and I'm all set to go. So I just press the load unload button and let the Maker do its magic. Press go. Okay, the cutting is complete, so I can unload my mat. I'm going to remove the cardstock from the mat, but before I do, I just want to point out to you that on the heart ends of the box, I don't know if you can see that very well, there's a little slit there that's an actual cut. So when you remove this from the mat, be careful that you don't rip this part right here. So just remove it very gently. And what I like to do is I like to flip the mat upside down, and I just start peeling, and I kind of reinforce it with my hands, holding down the paper that I'm removing so as not to tear anything. I just do it very slowly. Okay, and then I do the same thing with this piece. I'll just hold that down very gently and go slowly. And if I hold it flat against the table, it really comes off easily and it does not rip anything apart. So that's our first piece. Now we're going to work on the fabric piece. So now I want to cut this image out one more time, but there'll be a few changes to our settings because this time we're cutting fabric instead of cardstock. So hit continue, and then it will ask you to select your material, and this time you'll be selecting the cotton setting. So you need to put in the scoring tool and you need to put in the rotary blade. Now the scoring tool actually is not going to do anything for you here, but I just leave it in anyway and let it go. So I'll prepare the mat and we'll get going with that. So I've prepared my fabric right here, and in order to adhere it to the cardstock piece that we just cut out, I adhered a piece of Heat and Bond Ultra Hold on it. And this is what the packaging looks like. It is the Ultra Hold. Now here's a heads up on this material. Do not sew through it. You cannot sew with this particular Heat and Bond product. So I'm going to peel the paper off of the back of the fabric. This is the release paper for the adhesive. And I'm going to place it onto a blue mat. Now, some of you may want to use the mat with the stronger grip, but I find that the blue mat works just fine. Just make sure that it's nice and flat on there. Okay? And now we'll set it up to put into the maker, and this will be our last cut. Okay, now we're all ready to go. All we need to do is press the load, unload button. It is going to score. It's not really necessary. This is just the fabric part. I just leave it in anyway. And press go. Okay, now it's detecting that I do not have my rotary blade in there, and it wants me to put it in. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my rotary blade. And you always make sure that the gears on this part right here match up with the gears inside the housing. So you just slip it in, close the door, and now I can press go again. So that's it for the cutting, and I just want to show you what a beautiful job that rotary blade does. I'm just pulling this back very gently. Now you don't have to be as careful with this as you do with the paper because it is fabric and it's not going to rip. But you can see how perfect that cut is. Okay, so now I will show you how to adhere this to the piece of cardstock and how to assemble the box. I have the two pieces here. I have the fabric and the cardstock that we cut out, and we need to fuse these together. But before we do, I like to take my cardstock and fold back on all of the score lines. And the reason why I do that is because once the fabric is fused on there, it's more difficult to turn down these score lines. And then after I finish doing that, I'm just going to put the fabric back onto the cardstock. And I like to take a few clips and just line it all up and then clip it into place so that when I bring it over to my iron, everything is lined up nicely and I don't have any cardstock showing through. So I'm going to go ahead and clip all of this, and then I'll go over to my ironing board and I will press this down. Now you could do this with an easy press if you have one. Just follow all the manufacturer's instructions for the Ultra Bond. Okay, so I'm going to go do that and then we'll assemble the box. I have the fabric fused onto the cardstock, so now I'm just going to press down on those score lines one more time, and then I will apply the glue to all the flaps and put the box together. I will warn you, I am a very, very messy glue person. I try to be neat, but somehow it just never works out for me. Okay, now when you put on the glue, I only glue one flap at a time, and I'm just using some of the Eileen's tacky glue. And I apply a pretty good amount because some of it does absorb into the fabric. So you're just going to line the side of the box up with the flap and press it down a little bit. Now you do just have to hold it for a little bit until it sets up. Don't go gluing one flap right after the other because it's not going to work out. At least it doesn't work out for me. So I just hold it and I let it set for just a little bit until I feel confident that it's not going to come apart. So my first flap is set up with the glue, and I'm going to continue with the second. So just keep doing this around the box until you have all the flaps and sides glued together. So here's the box all glued together, and to assemble it, you just push in these two flaps here, and then your hearts will interlock. Just like that. So I'll show you that to you one more time. Remember, we have these little slits. We have one here and one here. That's what I told you to be careful about when you were pulling the cardstock off of the mat. So you just flip them and you line up those two slots together. And there you go. It's all finished. So I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please like and subscribe.